In this video, we're going to answer a very important question. Should you even study the night before your SAT? I'm Kat Severson, the inventor of the Severson method, a scientifically proven way to learn anything fast, including the SATs. So we're shooting this video today, literally in between my tutoring sessions. Today is March 8th and tomorrow is March 9th. Tomorrow is the SAT. One client has just left my office and my other client is at 7:30 and we're going to have a remote session from his home. So the session is going to go from 7:30 to 8:30. You're probably wondering, well, Katya, isn't that too late? Shouldn't he be resting and just not studying the day before? Here's the deal. Do you guys study before an exam? Do you study late at night before your midterm? I bet you do. And I know I used to study before an exam. I used to study before my midterms. And SAT test is not some kind of IQ test or maybe a neuropsych evaluation, something that you can literally not prepare for. SAT has content on it. And when something has content on it, you can really improve your performance by preparing for this test. So my view about SAT preparation is a little bit different, a lot different actually, from the mainstream advice of study advisors. And I want to say that I have a very particular recipe of what I want my clients to do the night before the SAT, and I'm just going to share this routine with you. So let's have a seat at the computer and I'll show you my secrets. Let me show you what I mean by studying. When I say study, what I'm actually saying is reviewing. I definitely don't want you to be studying any new concepts the night before the SAT, but I want you to refresh your memory on everything you know about grammar rules. I want you to refresh your memory on everything you know about math. And there are many ways to do that, and most of my clients do it in their own way because we come up with their unique strategy, something that works for them. Some of my students like to write their mistakes and their rules in their notebook. So they will have a notebook filled with rules they need to memorize, and then they will make a list of problems where they make errors, and then they write about why they made a mistake and what prevented them from choosing the right answer and what the right answer should look like. So this is something we do for each section. We do this for writing, for English, and for math, for all. Then some of my students who don't really like to write a lot, some of my students prefer to just write flashcards and make flashcards. Let me show you an example. So a flashcard that would look something like this. So this says test 6 and C, which is non-calculator, number 18. What this flashcard is saying is that this student made a mistake on SAT official test 6 non-calculator section, question number 18. And you can really easily locate this problem either on your computer or in your book. So it's really easy to locate these problems when you have a book, and especially if your book is pretty organized. I'm sorry, my book is slightly dilapidated at this point, but that's how much I use it. So these tabs are actually helping me navigate the book with ease. So all of these colored tabs, pink, green, green, and orange, actually mean something to me. So the first tab is, and when I open it, this is going to be the beginning of the description of the reading section. Then the next tab is going to be describing the writing section. And the next green tab is going to be describing the essay, which is kind of close together, right? The writing and the essay, that's why I made them both green. And orange is math. So starting at chapter 15, oh, I was right, chapter 15, all the way through chapter 19, all of it is math, and College Board is giving you pointers on what exactly is going to be covered on the SAT math and what to study and what not to study. Basically, will this be on the test? Will this not be on the test? I pay very close attention to what College Board is communicating on what they're going to test my students on. And then after that, I have these yellow tabs. And these yellow tabs are basically signifying that this is the beginning of the new test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you guys know, there are 8 tests. They're in this book. So if I need to go to test 6, I can just count 8, 7, 6, and I can quickly open test 6, and I will be on test 6 on the first page of the reading section. And then I can quickly move over to section 3, which is the non-calculator section, and I can find problem number 18. This is a grid-in number 18, and this is the problem where my student made an error. And the night before the test, I would want him to resolve this problem and review this problem. Because when we are making a mistake, there's probably a lack of knowledge or lack of logic. The logic hasn't been practiced. So when he sees a similar problem on the SAT tomorrow, chances are he's going to practice a familiar logic to him and may end up wasting time or even making a mistake. So when I say you should study the night before the SAT, what I actually mean is review. And there are many ways to review. You can review your notebook if you have been diligently keeping your notebook throughout your test prep. You can go back to your errors, and whenever you make an error, you can keep track of those errors in the notebook. You can be just writing down test 5, writing section, problem number 42. And then you can just revisit those. But my highest scoring students actually go a lot above and beyond. And on top of just creating many flashcards, I just want to show you guys, this is something that I will actually take tomorrow to my SAT. These flashcards, they contain conceptual questions like multiplying by conjugate in the denominator, and then on the back you have a problem. This says vertex form, and this is reminding you about the quadratic equation in the vertex form, and then on the back it will have the answer, and it would also tell you what can you tell from looking at the vertex form. Well, I can see the vertex form of the parabola, and I can see whether the parabola is looking up or looking down. And then it says 10 more apples than bananas. So that means whenever I see a word problem and it says there's 10 more something than something, how would I put it in a mathematical term? Well, 10 more apples than bananas. What do I have more of? Apples. So the way we're going to write it down mathematically would be A equals B plus 10. Now, more flashcards, intercept, standard form, and here's how I would want my students to go through their flashcards. And in the front, they just have a concept, and in the back, they have the description of the concept. So they have to constantly just bring it back to the forefront of their prefrontal cortex, bring it back to their active memory so that they can use it tomorrow afternoon. So that is another way you can study before the SAT. But if you are a member of UWorld, then you have a fantastic tool that keeps track of all of your errors. Let me show you how you can use UWorld for this. So when you log into your UWorld, you go into your SAT Q Bank, and then I want you to look at your previous tests. UWorld is carefully keeping track of all of your tests and your performance. So you could see that on this test, my student didn't do 100%. He or she, the name will remain unknown, did only 60%. So what we can do is we can do resume or analysis. We can actually go and analyze the test. We can see that 3 questions were answered correctly and 2 were incorrect. And one was, the topic was additional math, and this was heart of algebra. and we can review test, and then we can actually see where we got questions wrong. So we can try to resolve these questions. We can actually remind ourselves of the logic. And let me just tell you guys, I am absolutely in love with UWorld. The quality of their questions is extremely high. Their descriptions is off the charts. By the way, I'm not affiliated with them in any degree, and I am not getting sponsorship from them. I'm actually paying for their software, but I know the test very well. I like to say that I know the test inside out, and I've never seen a software that would do such a good job at creating a QBank and doing such a great job at replicating the logic of the standardized test and plugging into a software. So I highly, highly recommend them, but then you can use your UWorld as your review tool. You can actually just go through your past tests and just refresh your memory. So obviously we're not going to look at this one because we answered it correctly, but here I would want my student to revisit and pay attention. So this question, he or she, again, answered that L equaled 35 plus 0.25 m, and only 17% of people agreed. So it was either a careless error or maybe there's a fundamental logic that was missing. Here I guess we were doing proportional relationships. So it could be a sign for the student that I gotta be paying more attention to the proportions. And what else you could do, if you keep seeing that you keep making mistakes in proportions, you can actually create a brand new test on UWorld just on proportions. So you go to create test, you go to math, you can try to use maybe unused, and you can choose here from topics percentages, probability, proportional relationships. So what you can do is you can just isolate proportional relationships, and they have 20 questions for you. So what you can do is you can actually create a test and drill this specific skill. So you can maximize your performance by not just taking practice tests and repeating something that you already know and wasting your time. This is so important the night before. So definitely use UWorld if you have a subscription. And I think they're pretty affordable. You should give them a shot. All right, now if you don't have UWorld or you haven't been using UWorld, and the last thing I would want you to do is invest in the software the night before you're taking the test. But if you were working with me or someone like me, chances are you were keeping an error log. I will promise you, I promise you I will make a separate video on error logs, but this is just to give you an example. This is what error logs of some of my students look like. Obviously the identity will remain unknown. So what they do is they, I think this will be helpful for me to show you, they create just a simple Google slide deck, and whenever they make a mistake, so this student made a mistake on SAT Test 7 Section 3, so we know that on Test 7 Section 3 is a non-calculator section. Question number 10, he made a mistake. So what he's going to do is he's going to take a screenshot and plug this into his error log. And then when he is reviewing his error log, he's just going to see this portion, which will prompt him to try to resolve this problem from scratch. And sometimes in the notes, we add links to descriptions, links to additional exercises. So we find this very helpful. Personally, I do use these error logs. And then you can, for example, break it up, and then you can start inserting some of the grammar errors in there as well. And it's so easy to do because you just simply take a screenshot from your test. Yeah, we don't want to do it too much because I don't want to be sued by the College Board by reusing their materials. So you get the idea. So I want you to review, and after you review, or before you review, I want you to go and work out, I want you to go and meditate, and I want you to get to bed early, because next morning I want you to wake up, and we will actually make a completely separate video about what to prepare for the SAT, what to take with you and what not to take with you, so don't worry about that. So I hope I've answered your question. So now you should have a sense of what to do the night before, and how to study the night before your SAT. I'm wishing you all good luck, because I'm taking the test tomorrow myself as well, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.